So you just unlocked Valkyrie, played a few games, and can't quite seem to get a good feel for her yet. Well, not to worry. Today I'll be showing you how to effectively play Valkyrie in Apex Legends Season 9 Legacy. I have 10 crucial tips that will help you master Valkyrie with ease, so be sure to stick around. Unlike Horizon, Valkyrie is actually well balanced with the release of Season 9. However, that doesn't mean she's a bad legend. Rather, you will need some experience under your belt to start finding more success when using her. So with that said, let's get right into the first but quick tip I have, which is changing your jetpack control setting located under the gameplay tab. On default, this will be on toggle, which in result will keep your jetpack engaged until you press your activation button again. But by switching this on hold, you will have an easier time controlling the jetpack in general. With this option, you have to hold your jetpack activation button, and when released, will cause it to disengage on its own. Not having to worry about disengaging your jetpack will have you more prepared for your gunfights. Moving on to the next tip I have, which is to pair your jetpack with a slide jump. Instead of jetpacking from the same positioning or running, then activating your jetpack to get away, look to try incorporating your jetpack right after a slide jump. Since you need to press jump twice to activate the jetpack, no matter if you plan toggle or hold, doing a slide jump will have your first jump already in progress. Then following up with another jump before hitting the ground will have your jetpack activated and ready to change your position. Doing this will help avoid some damage taken when trying to activate your jetpack, since it keeps you in motion the entire time. This can also help you get from point A to point B faster by doing this consecutively, and will also save on some fuel instead of jetpacking in the sky from point A to point B all the way through. Now let's get into the next tip I have, which is jetpack strafing. Whether you're in the skies or on the ground, the jetpack will thrust you faster when facing the direction you want to go. Instead of just using your movement keys if you're on mouse and key, or analog stick if you're on controller to position yourself when thrusting around, try to also keep your looking direction parallel to your movement direction. So if you're using the jetpack for a quick ground maneuver, be sure to look in the direction of where you want to relocate. And if you are jetpack strafing in the sky, be sure to again keep your look angled the same way of the movement strafe to help you thrust with a boost and keep you a harder target to hit in the sky or on the ground. The next tip I have is jetpack tunnel jumping. When playing Apex Legends, if you come across a tunnel or an area with a low ceiling, do not fear like Pathfinder mains would in this situation. You can use your jetpack thrust repeatedly to boost you through that area much quicker. Now, there's not a proper way of doing this. Instead, just keep trying to reactivate your jetpack over and over after hitting your head on the ceiling. This will constantly boost your way along and can also make you a more difficult target to hit rather than just flying or running straight through. The only downside to this approach is that you will most likely deplete all of your fuel, so that's just something to bear in mind. Let's move on to the next tip I have, which is the ability to use your jetpack right after jumping out of a respawn ship. Chances are you will die when playing Apex Legends unless you're Asu. And arguably one of the most frustrating things is when getting shot at and potentially killed right after getting respawned by a teammate. But when using Valkyrie, this shouldn't be a problem. You can instantly use your jetpack in the sky when jumping out of the respawn ship. This will help you get to safety with ease and have you on your way to some loot or getting to your death box in a styling fashion. With that said, let's get right into the next tip I have, which is one of my favorites. Climbing an edge after jetpacking will negate your weapon in-hand delay. One of the main reasons Valkyrie is actually balanced is because she has a slight delay on when you can take out your weapon after using your jetpack. If you notice, she'll throw up some type of hand animation, then bring your weapon out. But to bypass this, when flying for high ground, try cutting the jetpack short to have you in the climbing animation when getting over an edge. This will make the game think that you're climbing and cancel out the in-hand weapon delay right after using your jetpack. Keep in mind, this will take some good timing to get down and for the most part is used for specific situations. If you're enjoying the video so far, remember to massage that like button, it's always appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe, join the champion squad for more quality content. So you're almost on the way to becoming a Valkyrie pro, but there's definitely more you need to know. Now let's get into the next step I have, which is more fundamental, baiting your enemies off height. Since Valkyrie is essentially the only legend with the ability to obtain high ground over and over with the fastest cooldown since you use fuel and not a timer, baiting enemies to lose their height is extremely effective when playing Valk. Now you can argue, yes, some legends like Pathfinder, Horizon, and Loba can use their abilities to take height from you, but they will have a cooldown afterwards. So if you're playing Valkyrie, take advantage of this by constantly gaining and losing height of a building. This will make other legends hard to keep up, and you can catch them in some vulnerable situations. Alright, let's move on to the next tip I have, which is when using Valk's ultimate, Skyward Dive, be sure to spin in circles when taking off. Using her ultimate will make her very vulnerable for a few seconds, and even when you're way up in the sky, you're never safe. And that goes for your teammates if they're attached to you. However, spinning in circles when the ult is activating is the best way to dodge shots when you're escaping. It's not much, but it will definitely help take some unnecessary damage in a hectic situation. Now let's get into the next tip I have, which is using her tactical effectively, Missile Swarm. This ability sends out missiles that cover a rectangle area of damage. Anyone caught in this will have the past Arc Star stun effect, as well as some damage will be dealt. But it's important to note that using Valk's Missile Swarm can keep you vulnerable for a good bit of time, since it takes a while to fire all the missiles. So when using her tactical in the air, try to plan on descending from the sky after using it. This will help get you to the ground quicker and have your weapon ready to take advantage of the stun effect. You can also use this Missile Swarm when on the ground, while keeping a good strafe tempo at the same time. This will help dodge shots, and if enemies decide to constantly focus you, they will most likely get hit and stunned by the ultimate. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the final tip I have, which is locating enemies for a safe landing when using Skyward Dive, going off a jump tower, or even flying out of the dropship at the start of a match. Valkyrie has the ability to ping out enemies on your teammate's radar when properly flying. Take advantage of this by looking around when flying to give you a more safe landing location. You can also do this to find enemies to hunt down, but just be aware on where you land. The last thing you want to do is land directly next to a whole team and have to wait for your weapon to be ready to fire back. Instead, land close to the enemies, but next to cover and possibly high ground if available. And now I wanted to give a little bonus tip for those of you guys who watched till this point in the video, because it truly means a lot to me. You guys are the real ones and I love you, so enjoy this extra tip. Whenever you're on top of an object when playing Valkyrie, such as a building, cover, or anything that has some bit of drop off, you are able to activate your jetpack quicker by simply sliding off the roof of that object, then hold your jetpack activation button or key. This cancels out the need to press it twice and makes your movement much smoother. Thank you guys for spending a couple minutes of your day with me. If you learned a thing or two, a like rating is always appreciated. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And as always, this was Sultan D, and I'm signing off. Peace.